What's going on, everyone? I'm Bill,
And I'm Justin.
and welcome to episode 2 of
Couch.
Couch Reviews.
All
Glad
right.
to
Take two.
see you still want us back. So, well, my friends, the
It's
time has come, hasn't it?
is here. It exists. The magical unicorn of a film known as Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Or as we call it, Justice League, the Snyder Cut. Oh boy. Okay, before we begin, this is first there will be spoilers.
Yes. This
Um
is, you might be thinking, spoilers, we've seen this movie before. Not exactly. It hits a lot of the same beats as the 2017 theatrical cut, but major story elements have been changed, and the ending is completely different. So, spoiler warning from here on out.
you've been warned.
Now,
And also, we just want to start by saying this. We did review the theatrical cut of this movie 4 years ago. If you want to go watch that review and then compare that to this, we'll put a link in the description below if you want to go watch that. And then sit there and ask what were we smoking or drinking when we did that review. Because initially, when we first saw it,
that one.
what was that?
We were positive about.
It was actually a It was actually we actually initially liked it.
I think our standards were just so lowered.
Because I think after Batman versus Superman,
And Suicide Squad.
and Suicide Squad, our standards were just.
But you would think that they would have been heightened by Wonder Woman.
Right? It's like we just set up the standard that all this movie had to do was have a pulse.
Yeah. It had one. It was faint. And upon repeat viewings, it got fainter. But at the time, we found the pulse. And yikes.
It's better. Now it is.
This is much better.
So the plot.
You want me to do the plot or you want to do the plot?
Yeah, you do the plot.
Okay. So, after the death of Superman, the mother boxes on Earth have been awoken. This attracts Steppenwolf to Themyscira to start hunting the mother boxes to form the unity on Earth in the name of Darkseid. Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne, to avenge Superman's death, decides to unite the world's greatest metahumans to bring upon a new age of heroes to defend the Earth against Steppenwolf, to stop him from forming the unity, and to defend the Earth against the forces of Darkseid.
Dum dum dum. So, let's get it. Okay, so the metahumans are, of course, the Justice League, Batman.
Whose real superpower is he's rich.
Yeah, I think he's the only non-metahuman once you think about it.
He's the one mortal amongst the gods in this movie. And I'll talk a bit more about that in a second.
I think he's I hate to compare this to Marvel and the Avengers, but I think Batman's sort of like the Tony Stark / Nick Fury of the group.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Tony Stark because guess what? Billionaire, playboy,
Philanthropist. Genius.
Yeah, he's a billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. 1, 2. Nick Fury because he's the one who, recruits all of them. Yeah, and Batman. What do I have to say about Batman? He's fucking Batman.
In this one, more so than the original one, because in the original one, he had all these awkward jokes. There were a few lines I don't feel comfortable with Joss Whedon ever writing for Batman. After watching
you hear that, Joss Whedon? You are not allowed to write for Batman anymore. And that is.
Bill, your mic's off.
I know. Give me 1 second.
That is his first of many penalties in this review, isn't it?
Ding!
Watch it, Josh. You're not on our good side today, buddy.
Okay.
Woman.
There were lines in the theatrical cut of Justice League that just made me scratch my head. When he asked Arthur Curry to put out some feelers with the fish, and then it was like, do you actually talk to fish? Such a stupid line. I'm sorry.
You know what that makes me think of now?
What?
I am trying to find some fish. There are no fish.
Yeah. He was definitely trying to make fun of Super Friends with that, and it just does not mesh well with the movie. The something's definitely bleeding line, thankfully not in this cut. Instead, there is a moment between Flash and Aquaman, which was pretty funny in its place.
Yeah, so we're going one by one here. Wonder Woman, who was, you were texting me this morning that her introduction here was really good.
Oh my god, it was so much better than the theatrical one. It's just, you have Wonder Woman, yeah, she kills the guy, and she kills all of them in there, and it's fucking badass. But then she turns around and is like, are you all right? And then this little girl's like, can I be like you? It's like, you can be whatever you want to be. And that was such a Wonder Woman moment. And it shows that Zack Snyder, yeah, he is doing some radical shit in his movies, but he does understand these characters.
What do you mean, like he does understand the characters?
Like, he makes these characters do things that you would not really want these characters doing, such as killing. Superman killing Zod, Batman killing in general, Wonder Woman killing in general. But he does understand these characters, like Wonder Woman has these moments of being filled with hope and wonder and inspiration, and is admired as like this goddess. And She's just taking it all in grace, you know?
Yeah, you kind of understand it. That she's, as her being the only female of the group,
Hmm.
that she is, I don't know how to describe it.
An icon?
That she is an icon. Because that's like why the 2017 Wonder Woman was such an important film.
Mm-hmm. By the way, the terrorist in this one, much bigger asshole than the 2017 one. He was gonna shoot at children.
Justin, think of the children.
Just slaughtering them like,
Like animals.
yeah.
Yeah, he was going to do that. And
What is it with this year shooting at children? Okay, I was going for WandaVision.
okay,
I was not going there.
good. We're not going there. Okay, we're moving on. Flash.
Okay, I can see how he can be a little grating to people.
Like, you know what it was in the initial review. Yeah, I don't know what we were smoking either when we watched that. I don't know what we were drinking, but anyway, I kind of said that I liked him, and like, listen, I still kind of do, but there he was just okay.
He had nothing to do in that movie.
What?
He had nothing to do in that movie.
Exactly. Just to what? Sprout fun catchphrases
Dostoevsky.
and just be the weird, quirky. Okay, in this one, to be fair, he is still weird and quirky.
But at least he's important.
Yes, he is.
He does some crazy shit in this movie.
And it's important.
And it's some of the most spectacular things you'll ever see in a comic book movie.
And you know what? I just want to say this. Comparing this to the Whedon cut, this one, you actually took him seriously. I feel like in the Whedon cut, he was just like a Superman fanboy. Even though he does say in this one that Superman was his hero, but it doesn't make it sound like,
Like a obsessive fanboy.
Yeah, especially. Okay, like here they do portray him as, again, weird and quirky and doesn't have a lot of friends, but like there was this one line that was in the Whedon cut and that was omitted from the Snyder cut that kind of grated on me in the Whedon cut, and you tell me if you agree with this or not. When Bruce Wayne comes to see Barry,
Uh-huh.
and he goes, "Well, I need friends, and I've always wanted to go for brunch."
No, I think it wasn't that he always wanted to go for brunch. It's that he doesn't understand why people like brunch because it's all it is people waiting online for an hour for breakfast.
Or lunch. That's like, it's just, what was the point of that?
To make it quirky and to bring it full circle in that after credits scene.
When he raises Superman and they say something like, "You gonna buy us brunch?" And I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of glad they got rid of that scene.
That was supposed to pay tribute to like something that happens in the comics where they do that for charity.
I can see that. Okay, but here again, Flash is more of a badass.
Mm-hmm.
They actually gave him something to do.
Save
Thank
the
you, Zack
world.
Snyder. I'll send you a nice fruit basket. And
Speaking of people who are given something to do in this movie, let's talk about Cyborg.
oh, I loved Cyborg in this one because I feel like in the Whedon cut it was just he's here. This
He's
is
here.
Cyborg. He
He,
exists.
yeah.
They just didn't give you any backstory. And here it turns out that not only did they give him backstory, they gave him more of a character.
He is a fully fleshed out character in this movie, and he's the heart and soul of the movie, and he's an amazing character.
He's when he was in school, he was an athlete. He was a star athlete. He was a genius.
He helped people who were struggling in school by doing, admittedly, not the best things, but he did it for the right reason.
Yeah, kids, do not hack your principal's or school database to help your friends with grades. Do not do that, please. That's illegal. That is a crime, and you will be arrested.
And or expelled.
This has been a public service announcement from Bill and Justin. And remember, kids, stay in school. Anyway, yeah, and they like give him the character that his mom was killed in a car accident, and he almost he did die, and then his father basically brought him back to life.
He was essentially on the verge of death from the same car accident that killed the mother, and his father activated the mother box and essentially grew him a new body around him, turning him into a living computer god. Again, another god added to the pantheon of the Justice League. Think about it. Each character, minus maybe Batman, can be considered a god, or at least god level.
Oh, I agree.
You know, Barry Allen, the Flash, he can turn back time by going faster than the speed of light. Aquaman, King of the Ocean, uber powerful control over the water and the sea life. Wonder Woman is the daughter of the old gods. Cyborg controlling all of the computers, can transfer funds all around the world, can control all the nuclear arms. And you have Superman, the most powerful of all of them, who, if he were to turn evil, would wreck everything.
And speaking of Superman, he's back.
And he's in black.
Bam. Down.
Down.
Down. And guess what? No mustache.
Yep, he is mustache free. And he's much more badass. The scene where he's like all disoriented and it's fighting the League, it's more cohesive and more organic. And I'll explain. There was a weird moment in the Whedon cut where there was a photo of, I guess that was Clark and I don't know if it was his family's mother or whatever. It was a photo. And it was in the water with him. for some reason. Maybe it fell out of something. I don't know. They never explained it. In this, it was used to show that when Barry goes the speed of light, time starts to reverse a little bit. So that was kind of just foreshadowing later events. Also, the action is much better. You actually had the police and the army like shooting at Superman, which was pretty cool. Superman, instead of attacking Batman, asking him if he bleeds, laser beams at him. And thankfully, Batman has gauntlets that Alfred were working on that absorbs that kind of intensity of heat for a short period of time, at least. And then Lois shows up, which you could say, oh, how convenient. Except they established early on in the movie that she visits that monument every day like clockwork.
The Superman monument.
Yep. She visits it every day. She doesn't even go to work anymore, but she goes to this monument every day. She buys the security guard coffee when she visits this place. She doesn't miss it a beat with it. And this was going to be the last day she does it. And then Superman's back.
He is back. Back again. Soup is back. Tell a
He
friend.
actually did a good job planning that. Instead of it being like Lois is the big guns. If this doesn't work, bring in Lois.
And what I like is like the build up when he puts the suit back on and he's flying again, and they have all the "you were brought here for a reason. You were brought here for a reason." Which in Man of Steel, I don't know, kind of drove me a little weird, but quoting what the nostalgia critic said in his review of Man of Steel, this is what they were saying. You ready, Justin? You know where I'm going with this. I am Jesus! I am Jesus!
Well, I think Snyder really wanted to push the idea that these heroes are
Gods among men.
gods among men. And it really shows in this. Like I was saying earlier, it's just these heroes are bigger than life, and that's how they're going to separate themselves from Marvel. Because Marvel are everyday people with everyday problems dealing
These
with
folks are gods.
Yeah, these folks are gods. Later on in this movie, you get Martian Manhunter, who, okay, he's a little shoehorned in, but still, it's cool to see him.
Yeah, he was cool. Oh, we got to talk about Steppenwolf, which
Much better.
much better here. Like I was texting my friend, and he was telling me that he didn't even remember that Steppenwolf was in the other one.
Well,
See how
yeah,
forgettable he was?
he was the most cookie cutter, bland villain you could think of. In this one, at least you understand why he's doing what he's doing to return to Apocalypse on Darkseid's side.
And because what was his
Alongside
original?
Zod and Granny Goodness.
Granny goodness. Because what was his motivation in the first one? And again, this is in the initial review.
To
Take over the
what?
world.
Of course.
But you know what? And you were
Wanted to
saying,
take us on a magic carpet ride.
yes, that joke was made in the original review. But this time,
I made it better. Just like in this movie.
but it's like, here's the thing with Steppenwolf. And you said this like he had a debt to pay to Darkseid.
Yeah, he betrayed him at some point, so now he owes Darkseid 50,000 worlds.
That's a lot of worlds.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just owe him like $50 or something?
Oh, here's the thing. This particular world, the world that fought back against Darkseid in an amazing sequence that was expanded from the original theatrical cut with much better effects. This world, planet Earth, is also the home of the anti-life equation.
The anti-life equation.
Yes, the anti-life equation.
This was part of the whole thing with unity and the unity of the mother boxes and stuff, right?
No. The anti-life equation is actually something different. The anti-life equation is an equation that states that all life, that all free will is futile and would allow the controller of the anti-life equation to enforce their dominance over everyone's will. And what was being set up in the sequels was that he uses the anti-life equation on Superman.
To basically turn him evil.
Turn him evil and take over the Earth.
Of course!
And the other worlds. And the other galaxies. And the universe.
Guess what?
What?
Of course!
Ah!
But yeah, so and this made Steppenwolf, I think, a lot more interesting, wouldn't you say?
He's a much more interesting character. He's a much more sympathetic character. Because all he wants is to come back to his home. He owes his debt, and until he completes this debt, he can never go home.
It's not just like, I'm the bad guy, rah, 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 like in the original one.
Yeah.
He is.
Like, you actually see puppy eyes from Steppenwolf in this, and I'm like, aw. You know, until Wonder Woman chops his head off.
Yes! And I just want to say, speaking of that, the fight scene in the last hour is so cool.
Yeah.
And I just love with the background and the heavy guitars. With the music.
Oh, yeah. Junkie XL is doing the score on this one, and he...
No disrespect to Danny Elfman. But I like this score better.
It's a much more different score, and you can tell that at one point the Gary Clark Jr. Come Together song was going to be put somewhere in there.
In the Joss Whedon.
I mean, it's this. I mean, Junkie XL worked on that song too, so.
Of course they did. So I think the score and also with that action scene was so cool in the last hour. And I also like when Steppenwolf was about to attack and then Superman goes, not interested.
Not impressed.
Not impressed. And then
Oh my god, he demolished Steppenwolf. And what I liked about the ending is everyone pulled their own weight. In the waiting cut, once Superman showed up, he fixed everything.
like, okay, I'm here. Everyone relax. Grab yourselves a cup of coffee. I'll take care of it. Okay, we're done. Let's go get food.
Hey, how about some shawarma?
Never never had shawarma, but it sounds funny, so let's go get it.
But no, like, yeah, Superman was an integral part to success in the Snyder Cut, but so was Cyborg, and so was the Flash. You know, Aquaman arguably deals the killing blow. Wonder Woman was holding her own against Steppenwolf, and actually is the one to decapitate him.
Because she's a badass chick.
Mm-hmm. It's just a really, really awesome fight scene.
It is.
And it actually made it look like they were going to lose. You know, like if you didn't know these characters that well, like you could actually think that, oh my god, they might actually lose. And then Flash does his thing and they get a second chance.
And they kick ass and win.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the fight scenes are awesome in this movie. And just, I want to say, you know what also I liked in this movie?
What?
I actually like some of the humor in this movie.
Yeah, the humor actually wasn't bad. Like the
And it
humor.
wasn't overly distracting either. You know what my favorite line was when they're digging up Superman's grave going, and Ezra Miller goes, Flash goes, hey, Wonder Woman thinks she goes for younger guys. And Cyborg goes, she's 5,000 years old. Everyone's a younger guy. I'm like, that made me chuckle because I feel like comparing that to the Whedon cut, it's not like when you compare them, you know, between Snyder and Whedon, it's not like Snyder is all everything's gonna be dark, everything's gonna be gritty, everything's gonna be this. Like, okay, let's throw some humor in there, lighten the mood a little bit.
Well,
Whedon, I feel like Whedon was trying to make it like Diet Avengers.
well, they differ so greatly as filmmakers because one is a very visual filmmaker.
And Snyder is more of a story-driven one.
Snyder is the visual filmmaker.
Okay, Snyder's the visual one.
Whedon is the more dialogue-driven filmmaker. Both have their strengths, but Zack Snyder, I'm going to make a very weird comparison. Zack Snyder is similar to Orson Welles in that you cannot make an Orson Welles movie without Orson Welles. It just won't work. It's just gonna fall apart. Just as you can't do a Zack Snyder movie without Zack Snyder. It's just gonna fall apart.
Absolutely. And
saw Zack Snyder's vision unaltered. Now, would we have seen this film if Zack Snyder maintained control? No.
and why was that?
Because this movie would never have made it to theaters.
Because it's
4 hours long.
long. Yeah, this movie was 4 hours long.
Now listen.
However you split that up, that's your business. If you want to watch it in one sitting, God be with you. If you want to watch it over, I did it over. I watched most of it last night, and I finished it up today.
Now listen. Let's say, for instance, that everyone who wanted to see this movie were willing to sit in a movie theater for 4 hours to watch this movie. It still would not have made it to theaters. And do you want to know why?
Why?
Because it's just not profitable. When you put a movie into a movie theater, you're only able to show it a certain amount of times a day between the opening of the movie theater and the closing. The longer the movie,
The last
the more
showings.
theaters you need to essentially rent out to show the movie to make a profit. At 4 hours long, okay, let's say average movie theater opens at 9 and closes and shows its last movie around 11.
Okay.
So 4 hours, we'll give it about 30 minutes for cleanup. You got the previews.
This is movie theater math with Justin.
So a movie theater would maybe be able to show the movie 3 times per theater. Now, keep in mind, a lot of these theaters, even like megaplexes, they're going to have like 20 theaters. In order for this movie to be profitable in that theater, it would need to take up 10 theaters. Half of the theaters in that movie theater, which is giving other movies less of a chance. Do you see the...
Yeah, I see what I'm getting at, but take, for instance, Avengers Endgame was 3 hours long.
And that was even pushing it.
They had to open up more theaters.
Yeah. They had to make it available in a lot more theaters. It would made it a lot harder for other movies to be released during that time.
If, like, say if this was a theatrical release,
Okay.
it wouldn't be due to obvious reasons. Hashtag thanks COVID. But
I
anyway,
think this movie would work as like an exhibition special release.
like a 1 or 2 night only thing.
Yeah, because something like this is...
But it's like with other movies. Like, let's say if this did get a theatrical release, they would
You would
probably
need
have to say, let's say if some random weird movie, I don't know, give me some movie.
like any movie.
Yeah, any movie that would be released around this time.
March. Um,
You know what? I'll make an example. And this was a kids movie that a friend of mine told me about today. Her name is Sue. Sue, shout out to you, my dear friend. It's called a movie that's now on Netflix called Yes Day. It's some, goofy little kids movie. Like,
Mm,
let's say if Yes Day was coming out the same week as Snyder as this,
yeah.
or the week after, they'd be like, "Sorry, we can't have enough showings because we have to have 500 theaters for Zack Snyder's Justice League because it's 4 hours long."
But even then, think about this. We're also dealing with an R-rated 4-hour long movie. The rating is also going to make it less profitable because less people are going to have access to the movie. So I can see why Warner Brothers would have cold feet about this cut.
But if you look at it this way, like over the past 5 years, we've had Deadpool, we've had Logan. Both of them are rated comic book movies, and they're marketable.
Yeah, but we're talking about the main DCEU storyline. That is what you want to be the most accessible to moviegoers.
Yeah, but I will say this, like the movie overall, this is the movie Zack Snyder wanted to make. And this is the
Absolutely.
movie he did.
And this is the one that I will prefer overall.
And you know what? When this came out, yes, maybe we were a little hesitant about Zack Snyder. But you know what? He has regained our respect.
And it's time to make an amendment to my directorial shit
Oh,
list.
there's one thing we forgot in the story. Lex Luthor returns.
Oh, yes.
Sorry about that.
So Jesse Eisenberg does make a reappearance as Lex Luthor in the end.
And when I heard he was coming back, it was my response.
Thank God he was not as bad as he was in Batman v
Oh,
Superman.
I hated him in Batman v Superman, and you had to hear about how much I hated him in Batman v Superman.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to take something heavy and hit him over the head with it.
I eventually found peace with this version of Lex Luthor. It took me the same exercises that Jim Carrey had to endure when playing the Grinch, but you know what? I found my peace.
Like here, he was much better than in Batman v Superman.
He was a little more subdued. He wasn't as
They must have given him some good shit in Arkham Asylum.
he wasn't as manic. He seemed a little bit more like he has a mission. And he gives Deathstroke Batman's secret identity.
And
And then we get the nightmare scene.
oh, the nightmare scene was so cool.
So we have the Flash, Mira, Deathstroke, and Cyborg all traveling in the desert to find the Joker, who starts pushing all of Batman's buttons. And we get to hear Batman say fuck.
I'll fucking kill you. I'm like, okay.
You know, a lot of people don't like Zack Snyder's interpretation of Batman because he's more willing to kill. But it fits in the universe.
It kind of does.
Something I kind of learned with the Snyderverse is it works best when you treat it as an Elseworld. If you treat it as canon, like true to the comics, you're gonna the you're gonna have a bad time. But you treat it as an Elseworld story. Some of these elements, like I can see a universe where Batman's a killer. I can
Yeah.
see.
But the whole thing,
I don't.
Batman not killing, that was only adopted, I think, for the Nolan movies, though, right?
There's precedence in the comics.
Yeah, and
It's
I'm
not
talking
what
about
they've
in
done.
movie version, that was only really big in the Nolan movies.
Yeah, but I think he's always had like this no guns rule. And any time where it's suggested that Batman might kill, it's treated like a big deal.
Yeah, but there is killing like what we saw in whatchamacallit in Man of Steel when Superman killed Zod.
Like I said, these Snyder's world of heroes aren't as pure as how we would want it to be, but in his universe, it works.
Well, because I brought this up with JT when we were doing mixed bag for DC. Because that scene in Man of Steel when young Clark saves the bus of kids
Yeah.
and Papa Kent's like, "You shouldn't have done that," and he goes, "What was I supposed to do? Let him drown?" Well, I don't know, maybe. A lot of people took that as, "Oh my God, he just wants him to kill the kids and let them die." And he goes, and here's how I took it. And well, actually, I saw this in another review, but then it made me think. It kind of humanizes the God among men thing because it's like thinking that he's going to have to make tough decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not always going to be pleasant. And
Mm-hmm.
some of those decisions, unfortunately, are going to cause people to die.
You can't save everybody.
Exactly. And that's like even in when Superman does kill Zod, again, that's showing like he's gonna have to make some tough decisions.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with these movies. They try to portray him as gods among men, but they do humanize him a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like how showing Wonder Woman with her love interest.
Yeah.
Or how Flash is dealing with how he wants to how he's working all these jobs to help put himself through school and get his dad out of prison.
Mm-hmm.
Or Cyborg going through what he went with his family and his tragedy.
Yeah.
So Snyder, even though these characters are gods among men, Snyder does humanize them.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes these, it's makes these so interesting because when you look at say the Marvel films, like what you said, they're normal people with normal everyday problems.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why I think people like Marvel films better because those Marvel heroes are more relatable.
Yeah. Marvel characters are characters you relate to, while DC characters are characters you
You want to be like.
look up to.
Exactly. That's what I think the difference between Marvel and DC is. But yeah, overall, but I like how Snyder does, even though these are gods among men, he does make them human. And in
Mm.
a way, he does give them real life problems. I don't know what you think about that part, the real life problems.
No, I agree with you.
He gives them real life problems. And they're not just, we're gods, everything is wonderful, everything is perfect. You get me, you know. Yeah, that. Is there
You
anything because you said you were going to go on some rant about something? Would you care to do that now? It's time for a Just Rant!
Fuck you, Joss Whedon. Fuck you,
Can we
Kevin.
tag team this one, please?
Fuck the producers of the Whedon cut. How could you do this to Cyborg? How can you do this to well-defined characters and just strip them of everything that made them great and make them these bare bone things?
Do you mind if I jump in this rant for a sec?
Go ahead.
Because here's the thing. I feel like with the Whedon cut, we got no depth. We got no development. It was just, we're going to throw all the guys in. Oh, hey, guys, okay, Batman meet Wonder Woman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Wonder Woman meet Cyborg, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, and Batman, and Flash. Superman will be coming later. And let's all just go, and we have to go all fight this guy who wants to take over the world, of course, together. Okay, that's what we do. And that's the problem. And like I said, when we first saw that movie, again, go watch the initial review. We liked it.
Watching the Snyder cut made me think that what Joss Whedon was doing to Justice League was straight up sabotage.
Really? Do tell.
Character assassination of Cyborg. Um, robbed the Flash of some crucial scenes to really prove how powerful he is. Um, third act was just a mess.
You know what I think? It wasn't just Joss Whedon. I guarantee you it was also Studio meddling, too.
Oh, I'm sure the 2-hour mandate did not help things.
Because you know what? It's like one of those movies.
I'm sure that 2 hours and 45 minutes, you could have had a very competent cut.
Because you know what I felt like it was one of. Have you ever had movies like this, Justin, that even though they're not that long, like they could be an hour and a half, 2 hours, they feel like they're like 3, 4 hours long.
Yeah. This one's actually sort of the opposite.
Like, yeah, it's 4 hours. And listen, I just want to say, if you guys don't think you can sit through 4 hours, that's okay.
Yeah.
If you want to, like, split it up, do whatever works for you. That's what I'm going to say on that. Just do what works for you. If you think you can sit through 4 hours, like I could have sat through it on Friday, but I was too busy plopping on the couch watching March Madness. But anyway,
this admittedly feels less than 4 hours.
it feels like
is
2.5 hours.
Still feels long, but it's
a good long. But you know what? It's the studio meddling. And because you know what? Not just the 2-hour mandate, because this is a movie that when we were watching, this is something that Zack Snyder put his blood, sweat, and tears into it.
Mm-hmm.
That he put his blood, sweat, and tears to it. And basically, and anyway, and now you got me heated. And you feel like, listen, I don't know, but I feel like the studio wanted to make this movie more marketable.
Yeah. And
Something that you want to bring the kids to, which is perfectly fine. Kids want to see Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. But I think what makes me angry, and I don't know if this makes you angry, this is someone who went through horrible tragedy with his daughter and had this wonderful film. Okay, man, not wonderful, but this awesome film that he put his blood, sweat, and tears in. And the studio is like, nah, we're going to just get Joss Whedon here and basically turn this into Diet Avengers. Diet Avengers! It's like the Avengers, except it's crap.
Yeah.
And it's just like, because what you said, we're just going to give them these bare bone characters who have the personality of a wood table. Let's not give them any development. Let's not give them any depth.
Let's give them cringy jokes.
Let's just give them cringy jokes. Let's turn this into basically a wannabe Marvel movie.
What's that? We're not allowed to shave Henry Cavill's face? Oh, that's okay. We'll just put some CGI over it. I'm sure no one will notice.
They just... what do you think of my point that they just wanted to turn this into like a diet Marvel movie?
That, and they didn't even want to postpone the film to give it the love that it needed so that they can keep their annual bonus.
Wait, what do you mean to keep their annual bonus?
For some reason, if they were able to release this film in November, the executives get this annual bonus.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, please?
An annual bonus for releasing the film in November.
Like they should have just postponed the film.
But they wouldn't get their bonus.
Well, you know what they say. Money talks.
Bullshit walks.
Oh, I never heard that part. But anyway, the problem is, again, they just want to say, hey, we got to get our annual bonus. So, sorry, Zach, about your daughter, but you got to leave. So come on, Josh, let's finish this thing up and make something good and marketable. And you know what? And listen, Joss Whedon, I love the Avengers. You did as well.
Age of Ultron was okay.
I think the Russo brothers did better than Joss Whedon, in all honesty.
Oh my god, yeah.
But you know what? I'm sorry. Fuck Joss Whedon. Okay, listen, I never watched Buffy the Vampire Slayer, so I can't really speak to anything on that. What was that?
It's good. But
not just that. I just think Joss Whedon is just a total asshole.
Yeah.
What was I called him when we did our live stream on Super Review Show this week? He's just a professional asshole. And you know what? This Warner Brothers should be ashamed. They really should be. Because again, you had someone who gave their blood, sweat, and tears into this.
Yeah.
And yet they say, screw you, pal. Okay, Joss, come on in. And I just want to say to Joss, I just want to say, and also I think which kind of did hit me a little bit, even though it was very brief, this movie was actually dedicated to Autumn Snyder, Zack Snyder's daughter, who tragically committed suicide.
And a lot of the Snyder movement, which I want to talk about the movement behind the Snyder Cut, because this is a movie that a lot of people did not think existed. I called this movie a mythical unicorn in the beginning of this review. And the reason for that is because it was teased a while ago that the Snyder Cut existed. And the release of the Snyder Cut movement's been going on since at least 2018. And some of it got a little toxic, I'll admit. But then you had people like donating to the American Suicide Prevention Foundation. You had that giant billboard in Times Square, which is what really got Zack Snyder's attention. And then
What did the billboard in Times Square say?
released the Snyder Cut. And it's
There was the hashtag.
mm-hmm, hashtag release the Snyder Cut. And they were donating to these charities, and that's what got Snyder's attention. And he started like telling them all of these plans he had for the Snyder Cut, and that it was pretty much like 90% done. He just had to work on the effects, which would have costed about $30-40 million.
And you know what? I feel like as much as I like shit on Joss Whedon, I got to give credit to Zack Snyder because you see the fans wanted this.
But you know what? But here's the caveat to the uncompromised vision of Zack Snyder. This film is not canon.
That is true.
There will not be a sequel to this film.
But they were setting it up, though, weren't they?
They were setting up his ideas for the sequel that will never be. And ironically, that's what they were shooting during the reshoots during the pandemic. He did do additional photography during the pandemic. About 5 minutes of footage was shot. And it was the nightmare scene. Zack Snyder had planned out the sequels up to Justice League 3. However, with everything that happened, I sincerely doubt that he would even be willing to return for the sequel movies. He's
basically how Warner
no
Brothers
interest by
screwed
Warner
him.
Brothers, and I don't think he's even interested in doing the movies as sequels, the sequels as movies himself. I think, if anything, he was interested in doing a run of comics following up this movie, which would be pretty cool because when I heard his ideas for the sequels, I was like, I would want to see this as a curiosity, but I'm not sure I would want this as my canonical DCEU. Because what it featured was Lois getting pregnant with Batman's child, Darkseid killing Lois in front of Superman, Superman succumbing to the anti-life equation, killing most of Earth and the heroes. Batman, Flash, and the remaining heroes has to figure out how to bring Flash into the past, where he's going to warn Bruce Wayne about Superman, giving him a vital piece of information, which would make Bruce Wayne commit the ultimate sacrifice to save Lois by sacrificing himself, and then giant battle against Darkseid, where it's basically the reprise of the Age of Heroes battle in the Snyder Cut, but with the modern heroes now.
Yeah. So overall, I think Zack Snyder's Justice League is 10 times, at least 10 times better than the Whedon cut.
Absolutely.
Because this was, you can tell, again, Snyder put his heart and soul into this.
This was a labor of love.
And what the Whedon cut was just basically
A Frankenstein movie.
Was just basically okay. They just want to see not Spider-Man. Sorry, wrong studio. Wrong comics. They want to just see Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Cyborg all on screen together. Let's just give them that.
Mm-hmm.
This was a labor of love. I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. And on the scale, which was spend your own money, grift off someone else, or don't bother, I would say this is worth spending your own money. What do you say?
Oh yeah, this is. If this was in theaters, I would say see it in IMAX.
Oh, absolutely. The ratio thing.
The ratio itself is made for IMAX.
Like you could tell this movie was made to be on.
Oh boy.
My disappointment
My disappointment is that this movie was seen only on a small screen, that I couldn't see this on a big screen.
Yeah, I think if I saw this on an IMAX screen, I would love it even more.
Absolutely.
Maybe one day I will get to see it on an IMAX screen. I think it would look fantastic on it. I've heard that there are additional scenes that would be in a theatrical release.
Yeah, I agree. So yeah, those are our thoughts on the Snyder Cut. Please go check it out.
It's on HBO Max right now. It's broken up into 7 parts. So check it out.
Yeah.
It's actually good.
So that is our review of the Snyder Cut. Tune in next time where we'll be getting to our mid-season review of
Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
And we may review some other stuff too, because we might want to review some stuff that's not all like Marvel or DC related. We might want to do some, keep our audience wanting more.
Yeah.
Okay, so for Couch Reviews, I'm Bill.
I'm Justin.
Have fun and stay cool and stay safe.